So I'm Nicole, and today we're going to be reading the book Maia and the Very Tall Wall by Brian Ray, illustrated by Sheila Penfield. Maia was curious. She had many questions and worked hard to find the answers. While other girls and boys rode their bikes, Maia asked things like, can one of Dad's fancy tablecloths be used as a parachute? And do box lids work as well as bird wings? And will 10 kites lift a baby brother into the air to anyone who would listen? Behind Maia's house, at the end of the thick green grass, there was a stone wall made up of peculiar rocks and boulders. As Maia grew older, she noticed that on each birthday, the wall grew too. On her 4th birthday, the wall was as high as a grown-up. When she turned 5, it rose as tall as the trees in her yard. At 6, the wall was now high as the sky and stretched out to the left and to the right as far as the eye could see. As the wall grew higher and higher, Maia grew shyer and shyer. Maia was still curious, but now for some reason she felt silly saying her questions out loud. And that sky-high wall became the thing that Maia was most curious about. What's on the other side of that wall, she wondered silently to herself. Even standing on the tips of her sneakers, Maia was still a long way away from the top of the towering wall. In winter, Maia stood in the snow in front of the wall, her eyes burning with curiosity from between her scarf and her woolly hat. She worked hard to find out what was on the other side. Maia stacked boxes from the garage. She tried climbing the nearest tree to reach the top. Maia even tied kites to her arms and waited for a strong wind, but it never came. No matter how hard she quietly tried, she couldn't get to the top of the wall. The longer Maia stayed silent, the taller the wall grew. She knew that she had to do something she'd not done in a long time, even if it felt embarrassing. Maia took a deep breath and opened her mouth to speak, but she could barely squeeze out a sound. She started again. Her second try sounded more like a tiny mouse with a scratchy throat. She knew that she could do better. Maia closed her eyes, tightened her hands into fists, then said with confidence, I want to know what's on the other side of this wall. And a most surprising thing happened. The wall spoke back. Me too, said a voice. Then the voice asked, can you climb? I can, Maia called out, and a long rope tumbled over the top of the wall, landing at her feet. I'll hold the end for you, the voice offered. Using all of her strength, Maia climbed, stone by stone, to the top of that very tall wall. She peeked over the side, and what did she see? Another curious little girl looking up at her. Hello, she said. Hi, Maia smiled back and held the rope so the other curious girl could climb up too. Maia and her new friend looked around and saw that the wall stretched out in both directions like an open road. The two decided to venture out and see what they could find. They saw new patterns in the stars, wide oceans full of tall ships, and lights twinkling in far-off towers. Along the way, Maia and the girl helped other children make their own climb. Maia met children who built things, who did science experiments, and who painted. I'm so glad you spoke up, said her new friend. Maia beamed. Me too. From that day on, Maia climbed and walked the wall whenever she wanted. Climbing the wall gave her new things to be curious about and to learn. Even when she grew into an old woman with wavy white hair, Maia pulled herself up to walk with friends, to wait for the sunset together, to wonder, and to help find the path to what comes next. The end.